Hey everyone! So long time no tarot. Very briefly, because I promised myself I'm not going to ramble on and on unless it's necessary. So very briefly, I hope you can hear me. I'm further away from the camera than I normally would be today. I don't like it, but I'm not going to fix it because too many weird things are going on today and I just want to get started. So I've been away dealing with a semi-serious health crisis. Once again, I don't want to get into it at the moment, but I do apologize for that. I hate being unreliable. I think I said this the last time I was absent, and it still stands. I really do, but it's just a lot of things coming up. Mercury is retrograde right now, and it's hitting me in my second house. So for some people, the second house, I don't know why you need to know this, but for some people, the second house is about your finances and, monetary money type stuff, but it also has to do with your values and taking care of yourself, things like that. So I'm not going to get emotional. Once again, it's nothing serious that I would want to say is serious at this point, but it could be. It's definitely an inconvenience, right? So that being said, I am doing a detox right now, so I might have to take breaks after each reading. So I'm already delayed beyond what I wanted. We're doing a pick a card. So in a few minutes, I'm going to show you 3 cards. You get to pick which one. I was called to do this specific reading. I'm actually drowning in messages right now, but this was the one that felt like it needed to be done, like that I wanted to do, right? Because I could do a full moon reading. Happy full moon. I believe it's tomorrow. But I have no idea when this is going to get uploaded because YouTube hates me. So, no joke, it might take a day, 2 days for me to get this uploaded, just waiting for them, okay? So I didn't really have time to make it for the full moon, which, I don't really care about it anyway. There's nothing to say. If you want to know, it's a full moon in Aquarius, right? And it's actually also squaring Uranus. So to me, Aquarius is kind of chaos. Full moon can be chaos, and a square to Uranus can just be more chaos. So there's no way to really prepare for it, right? You're just going to have to roll with the punches. Maybe it'll be smooth. Maybe it'll be great. If you thrive in chaos, I do. So I guess maybe I'm biased in saying don't worry about it. Hopefully you won't have to, right? It doesn't affect all of us every single time. So fingers crossed. But yeah, and then Mercury retrograde. What's going on with that? So that's Virgo and Leo. I believe it's now in Leo. So wherever you have those in your chart, I have Leo in my first and second house, and I have Virgo in my second and third house, but it's only hitting my second. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but look at the degrees. I won't go on a big rant, right? And see, I hate this because I've been away so long. There's so much to say. I could literally do a reading every week at least, but it just doesn't work out that way. So this is a message. Let's get into it. So we're going to talk about your spiritual gifts and how to use them. So let me look at this up really fast because it's actually on the phone I'm recording with. So once again, I didn't prepare. So this is kind of funny, and maybe this will make sense to some of you in some way. I got this song and it stuck in my head, right? Following me around. And that's kind of how I often know that something is coming in. Not always, but often. So it's called Believe It or Not, and it's by Joey Scarberry. I don't know anything about Joey Scarberry, and I don't know even really this song, except that when I heard it, I knew that it was a theme song to a television show, but I didn't know which one. So the part that I got was the chorus, where it says, I'm not going to sing it. It says, believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me. Okay. So I knew it was a theme song to a TV show. That's all I knew. So I looked up the lyrics. I Googled what I was hearing in my head, and the song came up. So then I Googled the song, La La La. It's from a TV show, an old one, okay? I don't know if I've ever watched it. I probably did, because that's, somewhere deep in there I remembered. So it's from the show Greatest American Hero. And I mean, this was like an 80s, 70s maybe, I don't know. So if I saw it, I would have been very small, or probably it would have been syndicated and I would have still been very small. I would have been a child. So then I felt like I needed to see what this show was about, because intuitively or from the depths of my memory banks, I was like, wait a minute, isn't there a spiritual connection in this song, or in the show, not the song, the show, right? I was like, isn't there something like supernatural going on? And it turns out, is he an alien? Do you care? Greatest American Hero. Is he an alien? Do we care if he's an alien? I don't remember. Anyway, he's a superhuman, right? He has special powers. And can you get me to the plot synopsis? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, the aliens. Ooh, this is getting even more interesting. The aliens visit him. Okay, a group of aliens give him a suit that grants him superhuman abilities. Okay. And, okay, so he doesn't like wearing the suit. He immediately loses the instruction booklet, and he has to learn how to use its powers by trial and error, often with comical results. Yeah, so reading that, which I apparently forgot that I read until I read it again, reading that made me feel like, okay, so this makes sense. And I also think it's really kind of funny and lighthearted, the way we're approaching this, right? Because I guess the show ended up kind of being like a comedy. And if someone asked me, like, what are my gifts? What are my powers? And, or these are my gifts, these are my powers. How do I use them? Like, I'm actually a very serious person, so I take all of this very seriously. However, sorry, I'm like yelling because I want to make sure my voice is carrying all the way to this camera. However, in reality, I think that it's not that serious. There are aspects that are very serious, like, integrity, for example. Always maintain your integrity. But in my opinion, my answer to that question of like, what do you do with your gifts, would be, for most people, like a blanket statement, would be to just live your life authentically. And when I say authentically, what I mean is to follow your intuition, follow what you're guided to do. Like, and I think that is where a lot of people get hung up, is that they don't listen to themselves. They don't really get to know themselves. They don't really get, they don't really confront all the aspects of themselves, right? They don't work on themselves. So they end up sort of being unsure, indecisive, not knowing. I mean, I'm guilty of some of this too, right? Like, my brain is like hyper creative. Like, I have like Pisces and Leo heavy in my chart, and they're both very creative, artistic signs. So I get all over the place. Plus I have Sagittarius. I have a Sagittarius 6th house, and my sun and my Mercury, my brain, are in the 9th house. And to me, Sagittarius, sort of like Aquarius, is chaos. So I'm a little bit chaos. So I get it. It's hard to be step by step sometimes, especially if we have like attention deficits, or we're neurodivergent, all these things that can get in our way. But I mean, the point is that you use those things to your advantage. You play to your advantage, right? Not within someone else's box. So if the outside world, I don't know if I'm making any sense, I'm just going off. If the outside world is telling you to do things step by step, you have to do this way, you do it your way, right? That's the answer, is to do it your way, and play to your strengths. I don't know. I heard that before I said it, so that must be important. But it is important. I mean, in general, right? We don't want to be trying to excel at a task that isn't really designed for us, or that isn't accommodated for us. I don't know why that's coming up, but like, most of it is intuitive, if you ask me, and it's going to come from your heart. It's going to come from those inklings, those gut reactions to things. And if you follow those, and I'm talking about the little things, right? Like the littlest inkling to get up and look out the window, to take a shower at a different time of day than you normally would, to park your car in a different spot than you've parked into because it just doesn't feel right. To that minute detail, okay? That is what I would encourage anyone to do, who is trying to get to that point, right? Trying to build their intuition, trying to hone in on where they're supposed to be. Start listening to the micro inklings that come up. And it doesn't matter, and I feel like I lecture about this a lot, but it's true. It doesn't matter what they are, follow them, and that they'll lead you. Like, I feel like spirituality, life too, but like, I feel like life is spiritual. So I'm ranting, but I'm on topic, so that's good. Life is spiritual, if you ask me. And if you're here, then I assume that you are on a spiritual path, that you feel called, that you are going in that direction. So spirituality, I feel, is like GPS. Like, you, how do I put this? It's like you can't really go wrong. Like they say that nothing that's meant for you will pass you by. I believe that's very true. So like, that doesn't mean that it might not pass you by, but like it'll get rerouted. Does that make sense? Like, I know my GPS is, I have a British man on my phone, and if I turn the wrong way, or if I ignore him because I want to go a different way, he'll start screaming at me to proceed to the route, right? But eventually he'll reroute me and take me to the same place that he was taking me to before, but with me in control, with my free will overriding what had originally been planned. And I feel like I'm crazy right now. I need to shut up and move on. And if you haven't already, you can skip ahead. So I believe that's how spirituality is. I believe that's like what life is. If you're intuitive, that is what life will do. It'll reroute you, and you'll be faced with other decisions that will bring you back to where you need to be, right? Like, it all spirals. So I don't think there's any wrong answer, is my point. I don't think there's an incorrect decision necessarily. I mean, maybe some decisions are incorrect, but maybe not. Maybe it's even the terrible decisions are part of your spiritual journey. I don't know. I'm not going to comment any further. So let's get into it, okay? So we're doing a simple spread. I'm going to talk about gifts that you are aware of, or that you're likely aware of, gifts that you may not be aware of, and then we're going to talk about how to best utilize your gifts. And then I'm going to pull another card. Sorry, that was a lot of talking. I'm out of breath now. Then I'm going to pull another card of guidance for the present moment, right? Like, what do you need to know right now that's going to help you and guide you on your spiritual journey, right? And I like this topic a lot. Like, I was really excited, and that's kind of why I'm doing this instead of other things that like are lurking over my shoulder, just waiting. I like this because it kind of draws in people who are spiritually minded, right? Like, we're not going to talk about your ex. We're not going to talk about anything, you know, we're not going to do trash tarot, which I actually kind of like, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to talk about, I think, the very, very common things that come up. And as I said, my belief is that most of us, the majority of us, are just here to live our lives, to be happy, to shine our light, to live authentically, and to, you know, contribute to the light. You know, we don't all have to do healing arts. We don't have to do tarot, Reiki, you know, we don't all have to do that. Some of us need to be attorneys. Some of us need to fight for, you know, the underprivileged, people who can't fight for themselves. Some of us need to help the animals, you know, all these different things. And that's all spiritual work, if you ask me. So I'll get off it. So I pulled the cards ahead of time to kind of decide if I wanted to do this tonight or not. So we're going to go with these cards because I really like them. I feel like they're 3 distinct different cards. So I'm going to put them up on the screen in a second, but I'm going to read them to you first. So the first card, group 1, is going to be Keepers of the Earth. And it says, you are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is Akasha. Your guidance is divinely guided. Number 2. And I'm going to show you again. And the final, number 3, is Mintaken. Longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. So that is card number 3, and now I'm going to put them all together up on your screen. You can check them out while I get organized. Okay guys, so this deck, by the way, is the Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. Love this deck. So these are where we're pulling your picked cards from. It's really pretty. This is the back of the deck. I knew, as soon as I got this message, I knew that this was the deck I needed to use. Actually, the last time I used this deck was when I did a similar reading. I don't know exactly when the date was on that. Maybe I'll pin it above or like at the bottom or at the end. I'll pin it somewhere on this reading if you're interested. It was quite a long time ago, maybe a year and a half ago even, when I felt very strongly. I don't actually remember what the message was that I got that made me do that reading, but I felt very strongly that someone was sort of ascending or awakening and kind of needed some grounding, some understanding of what was going on. And this feels like that energy. I mean, it might even be like the same people or the same person, collective, that's triggering me to do this. I don't know. Am I centered? I did crawl around a little bit while the cards were on the screen. Okay, so the first group we're going to do is Keepers of the Earth. I'll show you it again. And I picked the Connolly deck for you guys. So we're just going to get these 3 cards, and then I'm going to pull an oracle at the end. So for group 1, Spirit, Angels, Ancestors, Guides. What is a gift that group 1 is aware of? We're getting 3 cards, so it's going to be that kind of day, huh? Okay. A gift they may be unaware of. Okay. And how to best use these gifts. Interesting. Okay. Can you clarify this Page of Cups for me and gifts they're unaware of? I just want a little bit more information, please, of what to say. You're just going to make me wing it. Okay, Page of Wands, 5 of Cups. That actually makes it worse, but okay, well, we're going to wing it. We're going to roll with that. So, my Keepers of the Earth. The gifts that you are likely aware of, we have the Knight of Swords, the World card, and the Tower. So this makes me feel like you are aware of your own power to an extent. You're aware of your ability to sort of put an end to things really quickly that you know aren't in your highest good. The Knight of Swords is a guy that I like to call the barroom hero, and a lot of people don't like him, but I do like the Knight of Swords because to me he represents somebody who fights for justice, right? Like he's the guy that's gonna like protect you if some sleazeball is, you know, bothering you. He's the one who's gonna speak up and run his mouth if some injustice is happening, and I really like him. And he's not, you know, he's not worried about what other people think. He's not looking for the opinions of others. He's just running in and doing what needs to be done, you know, for better or worse, right? Not really concerned with the consequences. And I feel like you have a little bit of that inside of you, right? Like you're not afraid to cause a ruckus. You're not afraid to shake things up. You probably have a deep sense of justice, right? And with the World here, I think this is interesting because the card you picked was the Keepers of the Earth. So we have the World card here. And I feel like some of you could definitely be, you know, environmentalists or very, what's the word, ecologically minded, something like this. You could be vegan. So yeah. This gives me a sense of just somebody who's kind of an activist, right? Whether that be in the context of social issues, world issues, or just justice in general, fairness, right? Like people being mistreated, things like this. So that's what you are aware of, and that's what I'm getting off of these cards. I do feel like I think I already touched on this, but I'm going to hit it again. I feel like you do stand up for yourself. You know how to stand up for yourself, and you're willing to do that, because this World card is, well, she has nudity on it, but I don't care. I'm not monetized anyway, so they can do what they want to me. At this point, I don't even know if this video is going to upload. So let's just hope YouTube gets their shit together. So this World card is definitely giving me vibes of someone who is, you know, who has self-respect, who stands up for themselves and isn't going to let anybody disrespect them, right? So that's just another additional note, and I think that hits hard, right? I love that personally. So gifts that you may be unaware of, it's a little bit tricky to me. The first thing I got off this Page of Cups is that you might actually have some intuitive abilities, some, I don't know, clairaudience is what's coming to mind that you might not be aware of. You might be able to communicate with the spirit realm, and maybe you're not aware of that. Maybe you're not exercising that, or maybe you are aware of it, but you're calling it something else. So I would, if you think that's you, I would encourage you to explore that, to, I don't know, meditate, look up whatever you think might work for you. I don't want to tell you what to do. Research it. I encourage everyone to research things. It's really super important. I think the more knowledge you have, the more you can put the pieces of things together. But if that's not you, if you absolutely don't think that you have those abilities, I think we all do, but if you don't think so, I think this is also some emotional abilities that maybe you're not aware of, like, or sorry, I'm getting a bunch of ideas at the same time, so I have to articulate one at a time. So maybe you aren't aware of your empathic abilities, like your ability to feel others' emotions. I mean, and this is super important in anything. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life, but it's really important that you're aware. If you're a person who takes on the emotions of others, right, who senses the emotions of other people around you in a room, wherever the case may be, if you're somebody who picks up on that and kind of embodies that, and you aren't aware of it, that can be really problematic, because then you can't really differentiate between yourself and other people. So that's something, some of us, people who are like that, like, we have to get really good at a young age of really knowing ourselves, really being in tune with our body, with our mind, with our own emotions, so that when that does start happening, we know to reject it and to kind of put up a wall, but like to not let it really impact us. And I mean, you might already know that, but this is coming up in what you're not aware of, so I feel like I have to say that. But others of you, I think, have a really creative side and a really dreamy side that you're maybe not tapping into or utilizing to its fullest potential. Like, you know, I got this badass energy over here. But then there's this Page of Cups, which is super playful, super dreamy, super imaginative and creative. And I feel like maybe it's saying here that you are kind of neglecting that, or you're overlooking that, right? And with the Page of Wands here, it's giving me a similar vibe, like that you're kind of maybe not tapped in with your inner child. You're more, you know, you're in like badass adult mode, and that like kind of child playful aspect. I mean, it's super important, like I was talking about in the Greatest American Hero, right? Like, it's a comedy. It's super important to be able to balance that lightheartedness, that playfulness, to break up the seriousness of everyday life. Because if we're too, what's the word? If we're too tense, right? We're too bottled up, we're too stern, then we're not open and we can't really tune in and we can't really receive like in these intuitive messages that might be trying to come in. So we do have the Five of Cups here as well. And I'm feeling like this is saying like maybe, which is a completely normal thing, maybe the reason that you're out of touch with this playful side of yourself, this, you know, dreamy, inspired side of yourself, because I mean the Page of Cups and the Page of Wands are both going to be sort of like magnets for us, like guides for us that will help us move toward where we need to go to. So if this area is blocked because of something that is, you know, that's a problem that needs to be addressed. So with the Five of Cups here, I feel like this is kind of saying like this is the reason, right? Like maybe you are focused on a heartbreak, are focused on some kind of disappointment. The Three of Cups right here in this picture is standing out to me. So I'm feeling like maybe this has to do with friendships, perhaps in childhood, right? Some sort of friendship dynamic where someone just made you feel like you have to protect yourself, made you feel like you have to be this Knight of Swords, like, you know, jumping to defense on a hair trigger, right? Blow it all up, like as soon as somebody slips type of thing. So that's where I feel like we're going with that. So the point is, you might not be aware of this playful, you know, inner child inside of you that's super important actually to receiving, to being able to talk with your guides or even spirits if they're trying to talk to you, and your ancestors, whatever the case is. So there might be a block there. Okay, and how to best use your gifts. Now I'm going to clarify this because I have one theory, but I feel like we should get more info on this Eight of Swords, please, on how to best use the Keepers of the Earth's gifts. Eight of Swords, please. The Emperor. Woo! Eight of Pentacles and the Six of Swords. Okay, well, okay, hold on. Yeah, that is the Six of Swords. Well, oddly enough, I mean, this is a weird. I mean, it's not weird, but it's just, it's striking me a little strangely. I mean, this is, once again, it's making me think of, like law in some way, like the legal system, right? Because we have the Eight of Swords here. I mean, this person to me looks like they're in prison. And that's often what the Eight of Swords talks about, right? Self-imposed prison. But this looks literally like this person's in prison, which initially made me feel that maybe you need to work somehow, use your gifts somehow, to literally free other people from prison. I mean, it goes along with that first part of the message really well. And I guess, you know, that doesn't mean you have to be a lawyer. Like you could be a paralegal, or you could just be an activist, right? I mean, there's plenty of people needed in that type of field who aren't actual lawyers. But I mean, being a lawyer is pretty cool. And I feel like this kind of gives me lawyer vibes. So if that's something that you have thought about doing or are pursuing, I feel like that's huge confirmation. But also, what else can I say about that? I don't know. Like, just to help people, like, break free of, I mean, what are we talking about, Emperor? I mean, oh, what happened? Oh, we have a 5 of Swords. I don't know if that came out with your cards or not. I'm just going to put it there. Yeah, okay, well, that actually kind of helps me. That's interesting. That actually kind of helps me. I was going to say, like, help free people from themselves, from their own excuses, from, yeah, their own excuses that prevent them from taking control, from taking the reins of their own life, that sort of keep them stuck. 5 of Swords, that self-sabotage them. So I feel like there's something about speaking involved in that. I don't know. Maybe you're a motivational speaker, or maybe you should be a motivational speaker. Any help would be appreciated. There's something about this armor, though. What is going on with the armor? It's like, how do you translate that? It's like teaching people how to disarm themselves. Okay, this might have to do with what's going on here, right? So we talked about you being sort of tense, blocked off, right? Like there's an unwillingness here to be vulnerable, to be free, like because there's like a feeling of not being like protected or safe. So maybe that's like what this is, why this is coming up, because it's like something that you need to work through, or you need to work on, so that you can teach other people how to break out of that, so that you can teach people how to be the master of their own life, like how to be in control of their own life and making their own decisions, right? And protected. See, because he has his armor on underneath here. The Emperor always has armor on. So he's ready to fight if he has to. But the whole idea is that he doesn't have to, because he has orchestrated things and he's put things in place and in order to prevent that from being an issue. So I feel like there's something about you helping people somehow. I'm not getting anything like except this card, which was on the floor, where they're holding swords, see? And he's giving this one sword to this one kid. And so that's making me, it's really standing out to me, like, is you like speaking to people or somehow inspiring people to, maybe it's working with children. Maybe it's working with children. I only see one child here on this one card, but that could be it. Anyway, my point is teaching them how to balance vulnerability with protecting yourself, right? And I don't have the answer to that at all. Like, this is not this is out of my domain. So, but yeah, there's something about that. Teaching people how to break out of monotony, break out of patterns and things that are, you know, kind of deep inside of them. The 8 of Swords mentality, where they can't see beyond their false beliefs. That's what I got. But my initial hit was the legal system. So whatever resonates with you, I would encourage that. So let me get an oracle for you guys. We need to do advice for the present moment from, we're pulling from the Enchanted Map Oracle. I like to pull from this deck whenever there's a question about direction or where to go. Okay, one card. Okay. The Golden Palace is your card. Number 23, is that? Yeah, 23. Okay. This building even feels sort of like a temple or like a courthouse or something, doesn't it? I don't know. It's creeping me out. Okay. The Golden Palace. So this, again, reminder, this is advice for you in the present moment, right? Just right now. So the Golden Palace represents good fortune, ambitions fulfilled, wealth, and prosperity. It may also indicate emotional fulfillment, as perhaps you're entering a time of happiness that's long overdue. The message here is that self-worth isn't measured by what you have, no matter how abundant your life is. Instead, it comes from what you are, how authentically you're living your life, and how much love you're willing to share. Granted, receiving this card does indicate material gain and a furthering of tangible rewards, but things come and go, and knowing your value leads to even greater riches now. Share the wealth. So isn't that kind of what I just said? Like knowing your value so that you can then share and teach other people how to know their value, right? Like you already got part of that down. So it's just, I think this is like working on getting in touch with your childhood wounds or something like this, which has been coming up a lot lately. So it's a good time for that, right? It's always a good time for that when you feel called to do that. Okay, my group 1, I hope that was helpful to you. I'm going to move on to group 2. Thank you so much. Okay, group 2, my Akasha people. I just feel like clearing the air a little bit with my little Palo Santo thing. Okay. I don't know why, but I just got a weird like breeze in the air and it made me feel inclined. Okay, so I had to change my seating position as I always do. Excuse me. Okay, so let's look at your card again. You have Akasha. Your guidance is divinely guided. So for some of you, I feel like that message itself is important. Because as I was sort of talking about with group 1, sometimes we don't fully understand our intuition, right? Like we don't know where it's coming from. We hear voices or we hear messages or we get, you know, I don't know, however it comes, right? I don't know, all the different ways. But sometimes we get intuitive hits and we don't know where they're coming from. And, you know, some people even just call it instinct or a gut feeling or whatever, right? Some people think they're talking to spirits. Other people think they're talking to their higher self. Those are just examples of what I'm talking about, right? So I feel like for some of you, that message it's really hitting me in the face to highlight that yes, guidance that you're receiving, whatever you're questioning or unsure of, is in fact divinely guided. And with the Akasha card, okay, this is, I don't know if you want to keep looking at it. This is, I mean, this is about working with the Akashic records. And not everyone can do that. It's funny because a story that a friend of mine told me is coming to mind, and I don't remember the whole story because it's not my story, it's his story. He was telling me It might have been a dream. I don't remember what exactly brought it on. If it was like, you know, a meditative state of some sort or a dream, doesn't matter. But he was telling me, I think he ran into his, like his grandfather, some ancestors of his, and it's like they wouldn't let him pass. It's like they stopped him and they told him like he wasn't, I don't know, like he wasn't worthy of like diving deeper into some experience. I'm botching this story so bad, but the point is that not everyone can work with the Akashic records, and there's rules, and I don't really know anything about this, okay? I'm just telling you what I do know, and I know that, you know, there are rules. You have to have permission. You can't just look up someone's records. It's unethical, things like this. But if you don't know what the Akashic records are, here comes a train to tell you all about it. The Akashic records are sort of like, I often compare it to the collective consciousness. But you might not know what that is either. So basically it's just an archive, right? It's like a library of events of every person, every event. It's like the chronicle of life, of history. And my understanding is that the Akashic records also contain like most likely future outcomes. And anyway, some people, like, this is what they do. They work with the Akashic records so they can help you visit, you know, like past lives, recovered memories, things like this. And I feel like I need to talk about that since you picked this card. That could be something that you're into. You could also just, you know, be in like in the Matrix 3D reality here, someone who's like into history or perhaps psychology, and things like this. Like maybe you're into studying people or patterns. Okay, that's pretty much all I have. We'll just move on to your spread. I picked the B Tarot for you guys because it felt right? Like the Akasha is a very sort of ancient, mysterious card, and the bees are ancient and mysterious and sacred, just like the Akashic records. So we're going to talk about gifts that you are likely aware of. Tell me for group 2, for my Akasha group, gifts that they're likely aware of. 2 of Swords, interesting. Anything else? Yeah, I felt like there was something else. The Star, nice. And that's fascinating. Okay, gifts that they may not be aware of. Gifts they may not be aware of. Thank you. Queen of Pentacles. Okay. Anything else for gifts they may not be aware of? Thank you. And we're going to take it upright. I didn't even ask anything yet. 10 of Pentacles. How to best use their gifts. Yeah, actually, I think that goes with this. That's actually just what I was thinking. How to best use their gifts. Thank you. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So this does feel super, this feels like kind of personal. 5 of Jars at the bottom of the deck. This feels a little intimate, a little personal. So I'm going to try to read it more broadly. But so in gifts that you are aware of, or likely are aware of, we have the Two of Swords and the Star. I found it interesting that the Star came out because this is kind of like my card of the collective unconscious. Like the Star, among other things, okay, among many other things, the Star kind of says that if one person can do it, another person can do it. You can be an example. You can be sort of a guiding light for others. This reminds me of the story of the crows that I was just telling my daughter not that long ago about the crows, how you might know this story. It's about, I think it was somewhere in England, right? And one crow somewhere, or one group of crows in one city learned how to get the caps off of like milk back when milk was delivered, door to door. So like this one group of crows in this one city figured out how to go get the milk and take the caps off, whatever, and take the milk, right? But then all of a sudden, like, I'm not doing this justice, but the rate at which crows all across the lands also learned how to do this was like almost instantly, like overnight sort of thing. And it's like, I guess the theory, I say loosely because I don't know if it's an actual theory or if it's like just reality. The idea is that these crows can communicate on like a subconscious or an unconscious level with each other within the species, right? An unspoken sort of communication where they're all able to learn something like immediately just because one crow and one group, whatever, has learned this skill. So I don't know why that story was important, but there it is. And that's kind of what the Star is kind of saying on like a bigger scale, I would say, because the Star, I think, implies visibility. But anyway, I'm going to back off from that. I'm going to talk about the other meaning of the Star that came to my mind with the Two of Swords as well. The Two of Swords, first of all, similar to Group 1, I feel like the Two of Swords is saying right here that you are very good. One of your gifts is knowing the just answer, right? Knowing right from wrong, knowing the right choice. But I also feel on top of that, and I don't really know if this card talks about that, this specific Two of Swords, but what this card is talking to me about, regardless of whether or not the pictures are in this card, is about not being afraid to take the third option, right? Like the premise here on the Two of Swords is that, it's a head over heart decision. She has to choose between the right sword and the left sword. And it's, it's a very difficult decision because essentially there is no right or wrong. It's like a stalemate energy, right? Like that's the idea behind this. But another way to look at the Two of Swords is just not making a choice at all, right? Choosing a different decision. You don't have to choose. Like, who is going to tell you that you only have two choices? You always have another choice, and that choice is to reject the two choices being given to you. I don't know if I'm making sense, but if you're following me, thank God. So that is what I feel like this card is talking about here. You are someone who has the guts to reject making one choice or another choice out of the two that are presented to you, and you're not afraid to go your own way. That's what I feel like this is talking about. And with the Star, it ties in with that to me because the Star talks about being unafraid of being yourself, being unafraid of being naked, right? Being seen out. I mean, here she's not even in the cover of night. She's out in the sunshine, like in the middle of day, with no clothes on. And that's often what the star talks about to me, is living authentically, not being afraid of bearing your soul, of showing the world who you are, because you're very comfortable in that. You're comfortable in your own skin. And that's what these two cards are saying to me, is that your gift, in a way, is your courage to be yourself. So you're probably someone who's very in touch with who you are, right? Because usually people who are very proud, very willing to be vulnerable, very confident and comfortable are people who are very aware of who they are. So that is what this is saying to me, which is interesting, because in the gifts that you may not be aware of, I feel like it's almost kind of like pivoting from that, because we have the Queen of Pentacles coming up, and then the Ten of Pentacles is what came out on top of the Ten of Swords. So like I said, this is giving me a sense of like you breaking away from some sort of expectation. Like maybe, I mean, this feels like, I'll just say, like family. Like you breaking away from tradition, which I feel like is very similar, but maybe it's different for you. I don't know. It's kind of weirding me out, like, because they feel similar. Maybe that's the thing, is that you don't realize that you have the ability to use this portion of you who is kind of defiant, you know, kind of unique, and yourself, an individual. Maybe you don't realize that you have every right, but I actually wanted to say something different. So you have every right, but you also have, you know, the ability to translate that into a different context. And to me, that context feels like a family situation. It feels like rejecting the expectations placed upon you by perhaps your family, perhaps tradition, perhaps something else that you're tied to. So I guess alternatively, this could be in a work context, like that you, oh, well, that's an interesting take. Okay, back up. I stand by what I said. However, this could be saying that, okay, sorry, I'm trying to get a grasp of like the type of person that I'm reading for right now. Like I feel like I just slipped into like another layer. Okay, so maybe the problem is that you don't realize, okay, maybe you're used to, let's back up. Maybe you're used to being a rebel, right? Maybe you're used to being defiant. You're used to being the bad seed or the black sheep, right? Maybe you have embraced that label. Maybe you've internalized that label. And maybe what you're not aware of, or what you're refusing to see, is that you also are capable of playing the role of a very grounded kind of corporate, I don't have the words necessarily, but you're actually very capable of flipping that script and being a very astute, capable, like business woman. I'm saying woman because we got the Queen of Pentacles here, but business person right? My audience is actually also like 80% women, so it's a good bet that you're a woman, but it doesn't matter who you are or what you want to be. But I feel like that could be saying that. It wasn't my first take, but it slowly I slipped into that. And with the Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords, this is like killing your legacy, right? This is like getting rid of an old version of you and reinventing yourself as this kind of powerhouse, I don't know, go-getter. I mean, it doesn't have to be about money. It can just be about you and your career. Like maybe people have told you that you're screwy, you're a live wire, you're not organized, you're just this, defiant, whatever, mess of a person, right? And to some extent, that's a badge of honor. I mean, thank you. But it also puts you in a box. And people like this don't live in a box. You can actually be whatever you want to be. And just because you are in your authenticity a rebel or what have you, it doesn't mean you can't also play the game, whatever the game is. You can break out of that box because you never actually lived in that box. Am I making sense? So I really like that a lot. Like I said, I feel like perhaps there's also some other people who kind of don't realize that you can also reject the demands, the expectations of your family too, like not just society, right? And does that make sense? Do you understand the difference? Like, I mean, I have to put myself into a different headspace to really like process that, because I've always been kind of like this person a little bit. But that carried across my life. Like I was never living up to anybody's expectations but my own. However, I know for a lot of people it can be different. It's like a Clark Kent Superman sort of situation. Like you walk into your parents' house and you kind of change into your Clark Kent outfit real quick, right? Like you turn on that other persona, but in the real world you're this total different person. Anyway, so I can see both sides of that, and I feel like both messages needed to be said. But the bottom line is not to let anyone limit you. Not yourself, not your internalized beliefs that other people have actually kind of put on you, right? So I think that's kind of like to reflect upon a little bit here. And which is interesting because this is so not where I thought we would be going with the Akasha card. But I think it does pair nicely with that message about being divinely guided. Like when you're truly divinely guided, like you don't let the outside world tell you what to do or dictate what you do. You just follow your own divine path, which comes from inside of you. And I feel like you've gotten a really good handle on trusting that. But there's something here where we're having a problem translating that, or translating ourself. And I've seen people like this, people who say like, oh, well, I don't know, I can't do that. As soon as you say you can't, do that, or you can't be that person, or you can't. You're right. You're right, because you quit. You quit just there when you said you can't. You didn't even try. Okay? And don't get me started. My channel is literally called Tryforce for a reason. So don't get me started. But yeah, this is like self-limiting belief of some sort, where you don't feel like you can practice what you preach across every realm somehow. Okay, let's get off of it. I feel like I've lectured you a little bit. Okay, so then we move on to how to best use your gifts, okay? And Six of Wands with the Six of Jars. Okay, first of all, immediately when I saw these two cards, it gave me this like vision, idea, or whatever of someone writing, okay, or speaking out in some context. Like, it doesn't have to be a book, but I do feel like it's some sort of narrative, like writing about the past. Okay, so that could be for some of you, and maybe that's like a therapeutic sort of process that you want to go through. I mean, the Star card is here, so I just want to bring it back and just kind of reflect and remind that the Star implies that you need to be an inspiration to others, that you need to be a guiding light to others, that you are somehow an example on some level, okay? And this could even be just for your own children, because we do have the Six of Cups here. Six of Wands. I don't know, I'm not really getting anything like traditional off the Six of Wands, except that there's something about overcoming your past, or I mean, for potentially like winning over a past narrative, which is sort of what I'm feeling here on the Ten of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles. But it's definitely on like a grander scale, on a public sort of scale, right? And this could be like a YouTube channel. You want to start a YouTube series to talk about something to do with your history, or, you know, where you grew up or how you grew up. And for others of you, this could be working with children somehow, or like uplifting children. And once again, like I feel like there's something here about you wanting to do something but feeling like you can't, like you're limiting yourself based on some sort of assumption, or some sort of internalized, like, honestly, like negativity about yourself, about who you are. And I mean, only you control who you are, and I just feel like it's really important that you shake that somehow and realize that if you're telling yourself you can't do something, then it's, you know, you're limiting yourself. You're literally putting yourself in a box, because, you know, you can do anything, especially if you feel guided to do it. You should do it. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean, but this is giving me a little bit of angst. So anyway, back to how to best use your gifts. It's something about bringing attention to the past, or working with children in some way. Like, I could go either way. But like I said, my first hit immediately was that you need to get loud and proud about something in your past, okay? And since we do have the Ten of Pentacles here with the Ten of Swords, this is really making me feel like there's something going on in your past, probably in your childhood, but, you know, you would know, I don't, that you really need to confront, or maybe even just realize that you've overcome, and then possibly bring attention to on some sort of grand scale. Like I said, it could be like YouTube, it could be video. If you're not a writer, maybe it's not writing, maybe it's not, you know, blogging. It could be like vlogging or something. Okay, I mean, and it could be other things that I am just not really willing to like go to right now, but you'll know. It's something connected to something. That sounds so stupid. It's something connected to events from your past, from your childhood, probably. And okay, and if there is some event that comes to your mind right now, it could be working with with children, right, to help them champion the same setback. Is that clear enough? Okay, because I don't want to get all emotional and start crying. I'm doing so good. So I'm not going to get into childhood wounds, but that's kind of what I'm talking about, okay? All right, let's do an oracle. I hope that helps. I really do. If it doesn't, if you feel like this resonated, but the how to use your gifts is not resonating, then I encourage you to reflect on the Six of Wands and the Six of Cups on your own, and maybe you can then intuitively come up with your own message, okay? Because I might not be doing it justice. I apologize. Okay, advice for group 2 for the present moment. Advice for group 2, please. Advice for group 2. Thank you. Group 1s came out immediately. Okay, interesting. This is so interesting, you guys. You got the Bone Collector. Okay, I don't know specifically what this card talks about yet. I know I read it before, but I don't know offhand. I'm going to read it to you. But immediately, to me, the Bone Collector feels like a timekeeper, or like a record keeper, right? Like a bone collector. Like, this is very tied to history somehow. And yeah. Maybe, okay. Back up. Because I feel like maybe this is my fault. If you feel inclined, okay, to work with the Akashic Records, if you are already working in that realm, if this is something that you do, something that you're interested in, obviously pursue that, right? Obviously look into that, okay? And if that's the case, you might want to look into past life information on yourself, right? You might benefit from that. And that's so obvious to me now, and it wasn't a minute ago. But that might benefit you. And maybe, I mean, if that's really your thing and you have a knack for that, you might be able to help other people, right? clearly. I mean, if you feel guided, I hope I've already covered that you need to go where you feel guided. That's always true. And if this reading makes you feel like it's not guiding you where you feel guided, then ignore it. Okay, the Bone Collector. Interesting. Okay, number 1. You are whole and have everything you need within. When the Bone Collector appears, she is asking you to look closely at your circumstances to see if you're fully present or reacting out of past conditioning and unconscious expectations. Whenever we're wounded, especially when we're young, it's as if something essential is stolen from us. I'm not going to cry. We adapt and accept a version of the truth that then sets us up to behave a certain way in the future when faced with a situation similar to the original event. What we know about ourselves thus becomes influenced by a perception of limitation. Are you hearing this? You may feel unworthy or without courage. You may see yourself as flawed or unloved or expect to be criticized. The Bone Collector, I'm going to cry. The Bone Collector reminds you that the truth is that you are a powerful being with limitless possibilities. Oh, you guys. She has kept safe what was stolen from you, oh my God, in the wounding. It is here for you as you reclaim it now. Holy shit. I can't believe this. You have everything you believe you lack. And the Bone Collector is your inner resource. Act as if you have what you need, and you'll find you have it after all. Anything is possible. Exactly. Exactly. With awareness, the wounds of the past need not define you. Exactly. You guys, oh my God. I can't. I feel like that hit everything. I'm just gonna go. Thank you so much. I really hope that this helped you if it resonated. Thank you so much. I'll see you later, group 2. Whew. Okay, group 3. My favorite, to be honest. I'm just going to tell you my bias right away. Those who picked Nantucket. So this is about longing for home and belonging and being an original light worker. I find this super interesting because, hold on, let me put my phone away. Because this goes back to the reading that I think I mentioned in the beginning, in the intro, that I did quite a while back now. And I don't know, I just cried. I had to take a break after group 2. I was so proud of myself for not crying, but the very end just did me in, guys. And I might cry in your reading because this already resonates with me a little bit. I stumbled upon the concept, so I'm just going to talk about this really quick. I stumbled upon the concept of Mintakan star seeds a while back. I don't remember, years ago at this point. And then getting this deck has been a very interesting complement to the entire concept. If you don't know about what Mintakan is or the concept of Mintakan star seeds, I would encourage you to look into that. I don't want to go into like a full detail about it right now, but one thing I will say, or a few things I will say, is that basically the concept of Mintak and star seeds is that, one, we don't necessarily belong here on this planet, so a lot of us often feel sort of like aliens, and we feel like we don't belong here. Some of us struggle with a search for home, because the whole idea is that our home planet, we can't get back there, right? It still exists. It's up there. I've looked into this, because there's some people that say it doesn't exist anymore, but it does. Perhaps it doesn't exist the way we knew it. I don't know. This is all semi-fiction, right? But the idea is that Mintak and starseeds have this sense in our soul and this longing for home on this planet that we don't really belong on, and we're often very connected to the ocean. I know when I believe I was 8 years old, it might have been 9, but 8 or 9, I saw the ocean for the first time and just broke down. I was so emotional. It definitely feels like home. And that seems to be a thread that carries through the star seeds, something they have in common, right? I also feel that, like I said, you can look it up, look into it, and my feeling is that you'll probably resonate with the things that you find. Another thing, obviously, most of us are very empathetic, empathic, so there's that. My personal belief is that a lot of us are potentially autistic. There's a lot of overlap with signs and symptoms of autism and signs and symptoms of being a starseed. So you can take that all with a grain of salt, but I just thought I would mention it here. I do resonate with the concept of being a Mintak and starseed. It all makes so much sense to me. It made my life make sense. So perhaps it will for you too. I'm using this deck, which is a basic Rider-Waite, but this is the deck that I call Thomas James after my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, and that felt appropriate to this reading because I had very deep soul connection with him. The Star card coming out, and anyway, I won't get into. I told myself I'm not going to go into all these random personal stories unless I feel that they are relevant. Five of Wands, Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, that's why we're all here, right? That's what I'm trying to do with this reading, is give people guidance about where to go. I feel like it's so often, even people who, if we think we know what we're doing, we think we know how to use our gifts, we follow a path that we feel we're guided toward, and sometimes it just doesn't really make sense, and we end up thinking well, why was I guided here? What now? There's always that, not always, I guess, but there's often that sort of, okay, well, what now? I don't feel like anything makes sense. So Of course, there's remedies that you can take personally, that you can opt for personally to kind of break through that. But anyway, the message came through, so I'm guided to do a tarot reading on that. Let's jump into it. For group 3 spirit, one card please for gifts that group 3 is likely to be aware of. One more for that. Thank you. Ooh, okay. Okay, gifts they may not be aware of. Ooh. Clarify that, please. Okay. Let's talk about how to best use. Okay. Interesting. Okay, back it up, please. Clarify for me the 7 of Swords. Oh my God. Queen of Pentacles. This is too much, honestly. But okay, and then give me one more card for this Ace of Swords, King of Swords, for how to best use just anything else. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna have to dig through that. Oh my God. This deck is really hopping. Okay, give me one more card for the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Swords, just for fun. Any more information you can give me on that? It's not one card, but okay. Oh, come on now. Alright, this is just so many cards, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm actually a little bit annoyed by that. But okay, well, first of all, gifts that you are likely aware of, group 3, is that you have a very clear vision. Okay, you're probably very good at manifesting things. You can see things with your mind. And that's reiterated here with the 3 of Wands and the Sun for me. You may struggle. Well, you may struggle with that, period. If you are someone who has, oh geez, don't get me started. If you're someone who struggles with prophetic visions, that could be sometimes burdensome, right? Like if you see things or you foresee things, or if your intuition tells you something painful, that could be kind of a burden, and I feel like that's being acknowledged here. Yeah, it's bringing up personal stuff that I don't feel like sharing. No offense, but I understand how that goes. And then, okay, so yeah, all these cards, and I feel like that's what they're all saying, is that you have a really strong ability to manifest. You have a strong ability to call in what it is that would make you happy, to bring happiness into your life. You could have a lot of Jupiter influence in your chart, or you could just be like a lucky person. You could have Leo in your chart. potentially too. But yeah, I just feel like you are a sunny, happy person, very dreamy. You have the ability to see, and I mean, if we're talking about like actual spiritual psychic gifts, I feel like you have a very clear vision to see the future. So there's that. I mean, whether it comes through in dreams or you know, visions. And I feel like you're already aware of these things, so I don't necessarily feel the need to keep talking about it. But I do think there is an acknowledgement here, though, with the 5 of Wands and the 10 of Wands, that there is a burden that comes along with that, right? And I mean, for some of you, you may struggle with, didn't we just talk about this? You may struggle with discerning whether or not like you're truly hearing weird noises, whether they're like really truly intuitive hits. And I feel like you know, you should trust you should trust yourself, right? Sorry, I'm hearing weird noises of some sort. I don't know where they're coming from. I feel like they stop when I get quiet. Okay, anyway. So, gifts that you might not be aware of. Okay. So let's unpack this. So the first card out was the 7 of Swords. Stupid me, I asked for more information. And we got the 2 of Cups. Okay. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles with the 6 of Wands and the 10 of Cups. Okay. This is saying to me 2 different things. So the 7 of Swords with the 2 of Cups is almost feeling like you, I don't know, am I supposed to be telling you this though? I don't know, that just seems wrong. I feel like you have the power to influence people. And I almost feel like you have the power of like manipulating people like mentally, which I don't really like talking about necessarily, but it's coming through. So there's that. But yeah, I feel like we're just gonna leave that. But yeah, on another way of saying that is that you are maybe not recognizing your own ability to disarm opposition or to disarm other people with your words, perhaps. And that's what I'm getting there. Hi, Baba. My cat's here. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. He's been wanting to come over here like the whole time, but he's been a really good boy and he has not. So yeah, that's what I'm feeling here. You're a better communicator than I think you give yourself credit for, or you don't necessarily understand how powerful your words are and how powerful the things you say are, and the impact that they can make. For some of you, this might also be talking about your ability to communicate with your higher self. Like you might I don't know, you might have like a sort of I don't know, like a clear direct line of communication with your higher self or something that you're not necessarily like aware of, like maybe yeah, I don't know, that's something about that. So we have the Six of Pentacles, or no, the Six of Wands with the Queen of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups. And this is like, I feel like, okay, this is kind of echoing a little bit from group 2, where they were kind of not, Queen of Pentacles came up in the same position with that reading as well. But for you, I feel like you don't necessarily see yourself, okay, once again, similar to group 2, you don't necessarily see yourself, I guess, like as a business person or as someone who can profit off of their abilities. All right, like maybe you don't think you're good enough with money, or maybe you're someone who does healing or tarot readings or things like this for people, and you don't charge money. And I feel like this is kind of saying something about to stop doing that and to actually like charge money. Like, I think one of the gifts that you are not aware of is your ability to kind of bring your dreams to life, down to reality, so that they work for you in the material world. Does that make sense? It's like you're underestimating, once again, you're underestimating perhaps the power of your voice, you're underestimating the gifts that you have and their value, and you're underestimating your own ability to synthesize all of these things that you do have, that you are gifted with, into, I don't know, into your dream life here in the 3D reality. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's what I'm getting. And that doesn't hit as hard as I would like it to, and there's all these cards here, and I feel like it's kind of like flat. However, I feel like I'm talking to a really intuitive group to begin with. So I feel like you are likely already aware of your gifts. This is just a matter of continuing to tune in to yourself and your higher self, and continuing to build your own skills and your own abilities that you already know are there. Okay, so then we have how to best use your gifts. And the Ace of Swords came out with the King of Swords, and I wanted more information, and it gave me the Ace of Pentacles. So very, very clearly already, the Ace of Swords and the King of Swords, once again, we're talking about communication. You speaking up from a place of authority, whatever it is that you're an authority on. If you don't feel like you're an authority on anything, really sit down and think about what it is that you might be an authority on, that you might become an authority on. I know I struggle with this personally, right? Like, I would not say I'm an expert at anything. I just said, I can't remember where I posted it. It might have been on my Facebook, or maybe it was on YouTube, maybe both, I'm not sure. But either way, I posted something about astrology, and I always say, I'm not an astrologer, and I'm not. I stand by that. However, there are people out there calling themselves astrologers, doing astrology, getting money for it on various different platforms, who don't know a goddamn thing about what they're talking about. So for me to sit here and say I'm not an astrologer, I could turn around tomorrow and say I am, with the amount of actual expertise that I actually do have as compared to some of these other people. Does that make sense? So I do tend to be a fairly humble person, but the fact of the matter is that there's always somebody out there who doesn't know anything compared to what you know, and they're pretending to be an expert on that subject, okay? And once again, another example is I have a master's degree in psychology. I often do call myself a psychologist, but when I say I'm an expert psychologist or I'm an expert in psychology, like, do I go around like pretending that? No, I don't, because I don't feel like that fits, you know? I don't feel like it fits. I don't feel like I'm an expert at anything. I've had people tell me that I'm, what was the phrase one of my friends used? I don't know, the master at tarot, right? I don't consider myself that at all. I feel like I have no idea what I'm talking about most of the time. But then I watch other people, and I'm not going to drop any channel names or anything like that because I'm not trying to be that person. But I watch some people and I'm like, they don't know what they're talking about. They're literally faking this. And, you know, I stay humble though most of the time. This is telling me that you need this is telling me you need to stop being humble. Embrace whatever it is you know and be loud and proud about it. That's what this is telling me. So there's a lot of encouragement here for you to raise your confidence levels, to, you know, really acknowledge the gifts that you do have, to really take hold of your position of authority in whatever realm it is. You know, I mean, the whole point of this is that we all work in different realms. We all need to do that, right? We all have where we're called to be. Some of us are called to work in the legal system, to be lawyers. Some of us are called to be environmentalists. You know, some of us are called to, etc., etc. Some of us are called to be healers in some way, and that's all important, right? But I feel like you, Ace of Pentacles, are kind of sleeping on an opportunity that you need to take advantage of, that you need to run with, right? And it has something to do with probably public speaking, or, you know, being a storyteller of some sort. But it could be something legal. I'm not really feeling that with this energy that I got. But the King of Swords is, you know, law and order. So could have something to do with that. And I mean, along with that is something monetary, something that you can build on and actually benefit from in the 3D world. So that is your advice, to step into your role as an expert, even if that is just being an expert on your own experience, right? Like we talked about Mintalk and star seeds. Maybe you need to talk about that. Like if you, maybe you know more about that than I do, and maybe you need to speak on that, right? Because I know that when I first started down the road, I'm going to get emotional, of researching Mintalk and star seeds, I was very emotional. I felt very seen and understood, right? I felt acknowledged, like I had, I'm not gonna cry. I might cry again when I get to your guidance, because that's what made me lose it in group 2. But yeah, I mean, so whoever wrote those articles that I read, I mean, they made an impact on my life, you know? It's like I found something out about myself that I didn't know, that I didn't have the words for or the knowledge to comprehend. So something like that is extremely valuable. You know, don't think, we so often think, right? Even though we're humble and even though we underestimate our abilities, we're so often of this mindset that we need to do something big, right? Like we need to be famous, we need to be the best, we need, international recognition, whatever. And that's so not true, right? And that's such a kind of vain sort of goal that is just not necessary, because you never know, like, if you just influenced like one person in your whole life, like that person could create your legacy for you, because maybe that person is going to be super famous, right? Maybe that person is going to give all the credit to you. You don't know, right? So we have to play with what we're dealt, and we have to follow, first and foremost, our guidance, what we feel inclined to do. Go back to the beginning and watch that part where I talk about that already, so I'm going to get off it. But that's what I feel, group 3. I feel like that's what that's saying. You're sleeping on yourself. You know more than you think you know, or you are uniquely positioned in some way to speak out about something in a way that's going to benefit you in real life, and in a way that's going to be on the path of your spiritual journey. And yet, I mean, that's up to you to determine, right? All right, let's get you your advice for the present moment. Whew, okay. Thought I would cry more. Doing really good. Knock on wood. Advice for the present moment for group 3, please. For group 3, Spirit. Advice for the present moment. Whoop. Come on. Thank you. Oh my god, you got the bone collector too? I'm not reading that again. Is that a joke? Okay. You got magic prayer, this is fascinating, because group 1 got number 23. You're getting 32. Group 2 got the bone collector, and that just came out for you too. I'm not going to read the bone collector because I just read it to group 2. So if you'd like to go, just fast forward right before, or rewind right before your reading started, I read this to them. I'm going to read you 32. Whew. My god, I'm not reading that again, guys. I'm not. I'll give you the summary after I read magic prayer, okay? So it says, speak your prayers, listen for the answers, act in faith. I hope you can see that. So when you see the magic prayer card, it is a reminder that your prayers will be answered. That's what I was saying. Like, you are manifesting, you have the ability to communicate, you have a direct line of communication. Spirit is always waiting to help you and to heal you when you're in need. Sorry, I really need to drink more, but okay. That said, the best prayer is, thy will be done through me, thy will and not mine be done. Thy will be done through me, thy will and not mine be done. I don't know what that means. Okay. Conscious contact with your higher power is achieved through the ritual of prayer and meditation. Speak and listen to the divine force within the field of creation. Surrender your wishes and desires to Spirit. You may not get what you want, but you will surely get what you need. Your destiny awaits you as long as you keep in conscious contact with your higher power. Be assured that you are on the right path. That's kind of what we talked about already. Like, it's all about communication. Like, you know, it's like a direct line between you. I mean, maybe, you know, take whatever you want from that. I'm not gonna tell you what to think. Okay, so we'll go over the bone collector. So the message of the bone collector says, you are whole and have everything you need within. All right. So the bone collector asks you to look closely at your circumstances to see if you're fully present or reacting out of past conditioning and unconscious expectations. It's so weird that this came out for you guys too. Whenever we're wounded, especially when we're young, it's as if something essential is stolen from us. We adapt and accept a version of the truth that then sets us up to behave a certain way in the future when faced with a situation similar to the original event. What we know about ourselves thus becomes influenced by a perception of limitation. Okay. You may feel unworthy or without courage. You may see yourself as flawed or unlovable or expect to be criticized. The bone collector reminds you, the truth is that you are a powerful being with limitless possibilities. She has kept safe what was stolen from you in the wounding and is here for you as you reclaim it now. You have everything you believe you lack, and the bone collector is your inner resource. Act as if you have what you need, and you'll find you have it after all. Anything is possible. With awareness, the wounds of the past need not define you. Okay, well, that does make some sense, right? Because we talked about kind of not believing in yourself. Both of those messages talked about getting what you need, expecting to get what you need when you need it, asking and receiving. That's exactly what I felt here. Like, you have a direct line, a direct ability to like call down what you need, what you want. You have a direct communication with spirit and a banging ability to manifest what you visualize, right? Thoughts become things. Manifest what you want to see in the world, like speak it and it shall be. All of these things are coming up. So yeah, and don't let your own hesitation or your own mind or your, you know, self-limiting beliefs hold you back. Make sure that you are confident in your mind. Like the King of Swords, like I already said, can be law and order, but he's also like the card of the expert, right? So, yes, have the confidence of an expert. And if you don't act as if and will it into being, does that make any sense? Fake it till you make it. But I feel like you've already made it. You don't really need to fake it. It's just you maybe need to fake your confidence in yourself, right? And if you can just kind of put on a persona of someone who's confident, then your actual expertise that you truly do have will be reflected, because you are, I don't know, because you're acting from that place, because you're acting as if. There's so many creepy noises happening tonight. My power went out right before I started this reading. All of them, like in the very beginning, 2 hours ago or something. It was so creepy. Went out for like 30 seconds, but still. Anyway, now my security lights are on and I can't turn them off. Like they're on a sensor. I don't know. I need to like go in the garage or something. I have no idea what's going on. So that's that. I don't know why I'm sharing that with you. It's just been a weird night. So perfect for a reading. So thank you so much, group 3. I hope that this helped you guys. Like I said, as soon as I saw this card, I knew that the chances of me being able to talk to people like me was pretty good. So I really hope that I helped you guys out. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye.